Well, welcome to Johnny, Stuart, and friend. I have a friend here, but he does so many things. He's like friends because you have so many different voices and so many different personalities and all that kind of stuff. And so Burt Lynch has been doing show business ever since he was 6 years old, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I started when I was 5. First song I ever sang was in a church in Tyhee in Idaho near Pocatello called I Know My Redeemer Lives. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I've lived my life as though I know for sure he lives.
Good for
We need
you.
him now more than ever, don't we?
We do.
I don't know if you heard Donald Trump's talk this morning.
I did, actually.
Did you?
I watched
and
the
he
whole thing.
talked about that we're one nation under God, and as long as we have God on our side, we're going to be fine.
And isn't it great to hear that coming from our president finally?
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing, you know?
And by the way, I saw that this morning because you woke me up at 9:30 this morning.
Oh, I did?
To talk to me about the show.
Is that why you saw it? I was watching it.
And that's why I saw it. But it was. I'm glad I did because
it was inspirational, wasn't it?
It was.
You know,
with the exception of him teasing Arnold Schwarzenegger a little bit, you know, it's not a tumor. But other than that, you know, and that was just jokingly. They're going to make fun of him for it, but he was kidding around with the producer of the show, who was actually there in the audience.
I have never seen so much controversy and so much doubting of each other's side and so much of trying to undo what people are trying to do. You know, I just want whatever's right to happen.
Me too.
I'm not on any special side. I'm on the side of righteousness and the side
with
of
you there.
good and the side that's going to help all mankind, even in the other countries.
Absolutely.
You know, when I say my prayers, I say help the good ones to be better and bless them for what they're doing, and the bad ones, help them to become good.
There you
so
go.
we quit hurting our brothers and sisters, because if we go back far enough, we're all brothers and sisters.
That's right.
So that's great. Well, I have Burt Lynch here. Enough of that political stuff for right now.
That's
I'm
okay
glad
with me.
It's interesting that you saw that, okay?
I sure did.
And I really made me feel good, though. Made me feel good. So Burt has been entertaining since he was 6, and he's done all kinds of things in the area of singing,
Correct.
in the area of writing songs,
Mhm.
and in the area also of acting.
That's correct.
A lot of
Absolutely.
acting, and you've been doing it tons, and you do many different voices.
I do.
Yeah, you do Elvis, and you do Dean Martin, and you do Buddy Holly, and you do Garth Brooks, and you do all these different voices, Dean Martin and Bruce Springsteen.
I sound like everybody, but I don't look like anybody.
That's it.
And that's why I couldn't get a job with you.
Son of a gun. You came and auditioned for Legends? Did you actually audition, or you didn't audition?
No, I did audition for Legends with you back in like 98 or 9
Yeah.
as Garth Brooks. And later on in this, we're going to show some video clips, and you'll see me performing that very character. And it's very funny because probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in an audition, and I don't make many, because I don't get that many auditions.
Yeah.
But I made a mistake because at the time I had really long hair, and the people who know me from way back in the day know that I had hair down to the middle of my back. And it was very curly, big
And so
hair.
that's why I thought you were auditioning to be Marilyn Monroe.
Right, exactly.
That's what I thought.
Well, what I did was I used wigs for everything. All my characters, I had an Elvis wig because my hair was really long and I looked like a Bon Jovi rocker. And for my Garth, I had a wig on. Well, after the audition was over, you sat there right there in the audition room over at your old office, and you said to me, is that a wig? And I said, yes, it is. And you said, take it off. I want to see what your hair looks like. And I went, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get out of character.
But you have great hair.
But it was so hard to get out of it, and I had so pinned in it everywhere. And I thought to myself, I just said no to Jon Stewart. What is wrong with me? And I walked out of there going, I'm not going to get this part. I know I'm not going to get this.
Because I was actually, when I audition somebody, I really look at them as though I'm trying to help them. I want them to get the job.
Right.
I'm nobody. I want them to become somebody, because when they become somebody, that makes me somebody.
Yeah.
You have to work together.
It's
Same
been-
with our country again. It's the
we're
same
right
thing.
back
We
to
all
it.
got to work together.
It's been literally, and I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I'm going to say this on camera. It has been my ambition for the last 19 years since I've been in Vegas is to work with Johnny Stewart.
Oh, amazing.
And I'm here today with you, and I'm telling you, it's the highlight. I've been telling all my friends it's the best thing that's happened to me in 10 years.
Well, good.
I'm
Well,
just
let's see
thrilled.
what happens here.
Yeah.
They're going to get to see a lot of you, right?
Well, I'm
and
here for
he
that.
does all kinds of things. So right away, we're going to go over to here to Scott, and Scott's going to show you some photos, and we're also going to play some a video. Tell about this first. Before we play that video, you were with the Air Force.
I was.
And tell how that happened, that you became a singer in the U.S. Air Force Band.
It was one of the most incredible experiences because what had happened was I was performing in high school all around Florida, and I finally decided to get a quote unquote day job as a radio disc jockey. And so I was performing at night, but I was a disc jockey at a radio station in the daytime. And the station manager sent in a note and said, "There's going to be a lieutenant colonel coming to the station, and you need to do a live interview on the air."
You were a disc jockey already.
I was on air disc jockey during the middle of the day, and for a country radio station in Florida, WQLM, I believe it was, WCCF. That's what it was, WCCF. And so this lieutenant colonel in full uniform comes on to be interviewed, just like you and I are doing now, and he's telling me all about the Air Force Band. And so I do the interview, ask all the appropriate questions, and we get done with that. And afterwards, I said, "Well, by the way, I want to let you know," I said, I'm a singer too. I said, I have my own band, and I play all around town. He goes, "Well, why don't you come and see our show at the local high school?" And I said, "When is it?" He goes, well, I already knew because I interviewed him. And I said, "What time would you like me to be there?" He said, "Just come in there and sit down in the audience and watch the show, and we'll." And
this is the Air Force Band.
The lieutenant colonel in charge of the Air Force Band. And so I go there, and in the middle of the show, unbeknownst to me, he says, "We have a radio disc jockey personality in the audience. We're going to get him up on stage. Burt Lynch, come on up here." And I thought I was just going to go up there and say hello.
Oh, but this was a surprise. They wanted to see you vocalize.
That's right. And he said, "Do you have anything on this chart?" And they showed me a list of songs that you know how to sing. I'm looking at it. 200 people in the audience. I'm looking at it. I saw one song, Kenny Rogers' song, "She Believes in Me." And I said, "I know this one." He goes, "Okay," and he says, he calls up the chart 22, whatever, and everybody, it's 40-piece orchestra. And I'd never been in front of a 40-piece orchestra. I'd always been on stage with my dad's band, which was 5 pieces, or my band, which was 5 pieces. And if there were strings, it was somebody on keyboards.
You became Frank Sinatra in 1 minute.
Oh my goodness! When that band kicked in, just chills, and I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" Because it just.
How old were you?
I was 18.
18.
Yeah, and so. I started singing, and I got done, and the crowd went crazy. And I you know how when you're on stage and you're just enjoying it so much, you don't hear anything? You don't hear the crowd applaud.
You just do it.
You just know they're there. Well, it was one of those times. And so after the show was over, he comes backstage, and he shakes my hand. He goes, "I want to tell you something." He looked me right in the eye. He said, "I've been auditioning people for the lead vocalist position in the Air Force. We have one opening in the entire country. And I've auditioned 1,000 people. Can't find the person I want. The job is yours if you want it."
You got it.
And I looked at him. I was like, "You mean be in the Air Force?" He goes, "Yes, you're going to have to go to basic training."
You weren't in the Air Force yet.
No, I wasn't. I was a
You were
civilian.
only old enough to be a Boy Scout.
I had hair down the middle of my back.
Oh, that's what I'm you.
So he said, two things is you got to get a haircut, and you got to go to basic training, learn how to fire a rifle. You got to learn how to fire a pistol. You got to learn how to march. You got to learn how to salute. You got to do everything that every other person in the Air Force does.
Did you have to sign up for a full 2 or 3 years?
Oh, yeah, 4-year contract.
4-year contract, and you were the lead singer for the first time ever in the Air Force Band.
Right. Now, I don't know if the picture's up, but there should be a picture that I have of myself performing with the Air Force Band. I can't see. Is that up there now?
Any
Scott?
pictures you got?
Yeah.
Yep, he's
And so
doing them. He's a good guy.
That's me out there on stage with that 40-piece orchestra after I enlisted. And there's that's at Mount Rushmore. So the 40-piece orchestra's playing to like 1,000 people. And
so in Mount Rushmore, with those pictures that are carved in the mountain, one of those is you?
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
But it wasn't that long ago that I was there. But we did the show there, and then I want to show you how we traveled. In the next picture, you're going to see a picture of me getting on board a C-130 airplane with my weapon of choice, which you can see is my guitar.
Yeah,
and,
your weapon of choice, your guitar.
And because I was the lead vocalist, if you look at this next picture, they flew me first class.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
is in a jumpsuit. So I'm sitting there in a jumpsuit there, and so that is how we traveled. But it was an incredible experience traveling around with the Air Force. And so after the Air Force, I decided to write a song about the American flag. And I think Scott's probably got a picture of that up now. It's my CD cover. And I wrote this song.
CD cover, it's called Raise Up Old Glory, right? Raise Up Old Glory. There it is right there. And that's a picture of our friend here, Mr. Burt Lynch. And so he's going to play that for us now.
Yes, sir.
It's
called Raise Up Old Glory. And this is a video that was put together by a 16-year-old, or I'm sorry, a 14-year-old student who made this video off of YouTube to go with my song.
Oh, that's awesome.
And sent it to me. And I loved it so much that I put it in my show every night. Well, that 16-year-old little girl happens to be my niece, and now she's 22. And I've been using this video in my show every night ever since. So it's called Raise Up Old Glory. I hope you like it.
Okay, here we go. Video, Raise Up Old Glory.
We take the tired, we take the poor, but abusing Old Glory, we won't take anymore. Tattered and torn, rain-soaked and worn, ain't never seen battle, but it looks like it's been through a war. Raise up, Old Glory, and long may she win. Take pride in your country, all the way to your grave. Stand up, America, I'm talking to you, to the daughters and sons of the fathers who fought for the red, white, and blue. It stands for our freedom, it stands for our pride, it stands for the people who gave up their lives. It stands for heroes, it stands for the meek, and it stands as a symbol of a nation that never retreats. Raise up, Old Glory, and long may she reign. Take pride in your country, all the way to your grave. Stand up, America, I'm talking to the daughters and sons of the fathers who fought for the red, white, and blue. Raise up, Old Glory, and long may she wait. Take pride in your country, all the way to your grave. Stand up, America, I'm talking to the daughters and sons of the fathers who fought for the red, white, and blue. Yeah, the daughters and sons of the fathers who fought for the red, white, and blue. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That was fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Fantastic,
Thank you very
Bert.
much.
Fantastic. You know, I can see why we just talked about politics in the beginning. I didn't even know we were going to get into this. This is awesome. And a 14-year-old girl helped put that together.
My niece, yeah, Mandy Roughton. She might be watching right now.
She's awesome, okay? She's very awesome, Mandy. Great job, okay? And Raise Up Old Glory there. So you sang with the U.S. Air Force Band for how long?
Well, I did one term, and then I had the opinion that they needed a new James Dean in Hollywood, and so I headed for L.A. I found out they didn't want one.
Yeah, they. So you actually, after that, after the Air Force, you went back to college.
I did.
And you went back to college, and you mainly did acting.
Yes, sir.
And you still probably did singing as well.
I did.
And then you also played football.
Correct.
And you were what, a linebacker?
I know I was a running back and a kicker.
A running back and a kicker.
Right. Which being a kicker means you get to play every game.
Yeah.
And so I kicked, and I was very lucky to have the coach give me a big break because I just got out of the service. I didn't have a whole lot of money, and so he helped me get set up with an apartment. Gave me a job on campus to be able to support myself a little bit, and then he asked me, what do you want to do for a living once football is over, which is probably going to be in about 2 years for you. And I said, I want to be an actor or be in show business. What I said, I want to be in show business. He goes, okay, I'm taking you over to the theater department, and I'm going to get you enrolled in the theater.
He enrolled you in theater.
He did, and it was history after that because I had never done actual full on theater like Broadway musicals and stuff, and I fell in love with it, and the rest is history. Here I am.
Listen, I heard that you worked. Did you work with Johnny Raitt?
I didn't work with Johnny Raitt, but I played roles that he played, and I studied him and learned his voice to do him the same way I learned to do any other impression. And when I did Carousel's Billy Bigelow, they were like, "Where did this voice come from?"
Well, I told you when we were talking a little bit ago that I actually traveled the country with Johnny Raitt doing Carousel.
Right.
And not only that, but also with Gordon McRae.
Wow.
I did shows with Gordon McRae and Johnny Raitt.
Well, my two favorite singers in the whole world.
It's amazing. I played Snow in Carousel.
Yeah.
And then I also played other characters. I did over 500 musicals as a dramatic tenor and as a performer, doing all that with all those performers, Harv Presnell, all those guys.
Right.
I did everything. Loved doing musicals and stuff like that.
No wonder your show is called Legends, because you are a legend.
Yeah, I doubt that. Anyway, we're working on it. So the fact is that we both love Johnny Raitt and we both love Gordon McRae. They
Absolutely.
were two of my heroes also.
There you go.
Also, my brother Rod Stewart, he's another hero of mine.
Right.
And that's not the Rod Stewart you're thinking of, but it's a good Rod Stewart.
Okay.
Right, Rod. Okay, so anyway, then we also we're telling that story, and you did all that kind of stuff, and you did those musicals, and then when you did all that, you get doing your one-man show and trying to get things going, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I actually got an opportunity to go. I got called back to Florida to do some acting, and
Wow.
and I actually came to Vegas in '85. That's the first time we met. And I came in. I was only here briefly because I got a call, and they said we've got some acting roles in Florida that you're going to. And I went down back there, and I was in the movie Revenge of the Nerds Part 2. I was in the film Flight of the Navigator, a Disney film. I played a cop.
A lot of acting.
They loved to cast me as a cop. I played a cop on Miami Vice, and then I did a newspaper reporter in a film called Hammerhead Jones, which was done for HBO. And so I did all this acting, and it kept me away from Vegas. I didn't. I stayed after my acting stuff happened, and I started performing around Florida again, which was my home. So it made sense to go back. And finally, I just said to myself, 19 years ago this month, I'm going back to Vegas, and I'm never leaving.
So you've been here for 19 years. You did a show in New York, too, didn't you?
I had my lounge act in there for over a year that we call the One Man Show, and it's myself to track, play guitar to track and sing. And we've got some footage of that.
Well, we got to see that. This is Burt Lynch's one-man show. This is at New York, New York?
Yes, sir.
At New York, New York. And this is his one-man show. What was your one-man show called?
Just Burt Lynch.
Burt Lynch.
Yeah, that way I wouldn't forget it.
So here's Burt Lynch right now.
Fires on He's going to lay a foot outside my head here. I said, what do you hear that?
Bert, that was fantastic. You know, you're not just a singer, and you're not just an actor, and you're not just a football player. You're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Because before you came here in Georgia, you were involved in restaurants and bars, right?
I was.
Yeah. Then you come out here, and you play there for a year and a half, and they're paying you, and you save up all your money, and you end up buying the bar at New York, New York.
No, not at New York, New York. I bought a bar over on Decatur and Twain.
Oh, Decatur and Twain. So you went and bought a bar, and you were there. You actually wanted to continue the celebrity type thing. So you called the bar what? Norma Jean?
Norma Jean's, because I had a show at the time that I was doing in corporate called Mimics, where I did all my impersonations, and I had a Marilyn Monroe impersonator in my show who happened to also be my girlfriend, and we had an entire house full of Marilyn Monroe memorabilia. Now, I decided that I didn't want to live in a house full of Marilyn Monroe memorabilia. So I decided to call the bar Norma Jean's and move all that memorabilia into the bar.
There.
That's what we did.
So you and her didn't really know who you were going with, because you at one night you were Elvis Presley, then you were Dean Martin, then you were Garth Brooks, then you were Buddy Holly, and so every day she could have somebody else, because you could be Dean Martin for the day.
You know something?
Now, did she ever play anyone other than Norma Jean?
In my show, she played Elvira, Mistress of the
Oh,
Darkness.
so you didn't know who you were going to be with, Norma Jean or Marilyn Monroe or Elvira.
That's
so you
right.
guys just you had a lot of variety.
Crazy.
A lot of variety.
And you know-
who are you tonight? Oh, Norma Jean.
And you know what I decided to do was I decided to put a great band together in that bar and play in that bar every night and do no impersonations. Just do myself. I
And
was
you
just-
did no impersonation.
None. And all I did was just me.
So you
with my-
fired all those other people? Did you put them out of work?
Well, no, I'd still go do them on corporate jobs.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't want to do all those costume changes every night in a bar, so that's why we did that. And but here's what's really cool is we got approached by Fox Productions, and they wanted to shoot a reality show in my bar, and so they spent 12 weeks following me around and shot 20 episodes that never aired because it didn't get picked up. We shot this back in 2004 or 3 or 4, and it was before we were just before our time. So I've got what they call the sizzle reel trailer from that shoot, which shows you a pretty good idea what it was like to own a bar and sing in it and work the thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you want to show that, we've got that.
Is that already on here too?
That's ready. That's Norma Jean's trailer. Yeah.
Okay, Norma Jean, this is of your bar.
Yeah.
And this is a bar that you bought after you did the year and a half at New York, New York, saved your money and bought your own bar, okay? Here's a tribute to the Norma Jean Bar.
Welcome to Norma Jean's. Come on in. How are we doing? Good.
Fast boys, what you gonna do?
Well, you know you have to keep the bar running, and that's the longest part of the day. Is keeping the bar running, making sure that we got stock and that there's change so we can operate with, and making sure the staff is here and doing their job, which they pretty much take care of themselves. They're pretty good. I mean, it's a little early. The show starts in about an hour and a half.
My name is Rob Hazard. I'm a drummer. Just moved here from the East Coast, New York City area, and I've been here for about 2 months now. And this friend of mine actually mentioned Norma Jean's to me one night, and I said, I'll check it out, you know. So I went down.
Hey, here we go. We're here again, right here, and we're talking to Mr. Bert Lynch again, and that was your bar, Norma Jean's.
It was.
And just a minute, we'll kind of move forward a little bit, and we want to see what you were doing there musically, because you also did some music at that place, right?
Well, we played every night. There was entertainment 7 nights a week. The band was 4 nights, and we had some acoustic nights, had comedy night. So there's always entertainment.
That's fantastic. That's beautiful. Okay, so you're doing that. And so while you're here in Vegas, you're actually entertaining a number of different characters because you're kind of the Danny Gans of Las Vegas in your own right, right?
Well, I you know something, he was one of my heroes too.
Yeah, he was one of my heroes,
And
too.
I don't think I'll ever live up to the Danny Gans model, but I certainly, I just loved Danny. He was
Yeah.
incredible.
And then the other thing is you did singing, you did acting, you did all these things, and right now you're absolutely looking to get all that going again. And
Absolutely.
We had you out there at the NASCAR. We had the NASCAR. One of the things we showed just a little bit ago, when you were singing the thing of the Raise
Up,
My
Glory.
Flag to Glory. Oh, man, you were doing that, and that was out at the NASCAR. And I'm affiliated with that with Steve Byer.
Right.
And we do that every year. This year it's the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th of March. Okay? So we'll see if we can get you out there again.
Wonderful. I'm ready to
Okay?
go.
Yeah, and so all these great things you're doing, and it's just exciting that you're doing all this kind of stuff. And so we got back at the Norma Jean Bar, we have a little clip here of him actually entertaining in your own bar, right?
Yes, sir. Sure. do.
Okay, we got that? Yeah. Okay, ready to go, Scott.
She would change, she ever found out about you and I. Love is cold. Wouldn't her if she didn't go. I got my mind made up. I need to feel your touch. I wanna run it up. Melbourne dancer down the south side of Birmingham. She was running from a fat man selling salvation in his weekend. Shot through the heart, and you're to blame, darling. You give love a bad name. Thank you very much. Make some noise in here at Norma Jean's.
Wow, we're back again. Boy, this is so exciting. You got so much going on here. I'm telling you, we're going to go to another thing now because you actually did a show on an Indian reservation. Was it an Indian reservation where you did 100 shows?
We did 100 shows in 50 days.
100 shows in 15 days. And
50,
on all,
50 days.
50 days.
50 days.
And in 50 days, 100 shows, you got 100 standing ovations. Is that right?
And always in the same spot. Bless those people's hearts. They would get up on their feet for the whole 4 minutes of Raise Up, O Glory every single day.
And that's amazing that for 100, how many people were out there about?
Well, we had about a 250-seat showroom.
And I can't believe that for 250 seats, you guys were able to put some kind of electricity into each one of those chairs so they would stand up right when you wanted them to.
And I'll tell you something. It took us days to wire those things. It took us days.
You're following me.
The batteries underneath everyone.
Okay, but you did. You got 100 standing ovations. Listen, when you go somewhere, you play a long time, and that's how you can tell how good somebody is. How long were they there? Once somebody's heard them, if you're there only a day or two, well, that wasn't too great.
Right.
But if you're there for a couple of years and 5 years and 3 years and you're doing all this stuff, just like when you were with the Air Force,
Right.
singing with them. I mean, you did it till you wanted to quit and do something else, and you wanted to further your career and get back to college and do all this other kind of stuff. Well, Bert, you've been doing a lot of stuff. Then all at once you started doing a ton of impersonations.
Right.
And you started doing all that stuff. And you started all that stuff really when you were in high school, right? You did Elvis
Correct.
Presley and all this kind of thing. You did it. And so you wouldn't take your wig off for me, but you took them off for somebody else. Look at it. Here.
I finally got a haircut, decided
Yeah.
I didn't want to use all these wigs.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Anyway, so when I did Legends, I wanted people to look as much like the real person as they possibly could. And that's probably why I had you take your wig off.
Right.
Because I said, if you take that wig off, and I thought, well, if his hair is there, because I did hire a lot of Elvises that actually did things and followed my recommendation, and we did things to help them look more like Elvis.
Sure.
And so we went through that thing, and you might have done that. Who knows?
Well, if you watch this next video, you'll see some of the Elvis and some of the other characters, along with some of my fun impersonations that I do just with acoustic guitar.
Is this the Stars and Stripes thing?
This is my show, Stars and Stripes. That's the one I have now.
Okay.
This is with a band. I've got a band with me on this one, but I can now do this by myself to track or with a band, either one.
Okay. And the show's called Stars and Stripes?
That's right.
Okay. And this is Bert Lynch, Stars and Stripes. This is going to be another great video. We're seeing a lot of entertainment here.
From New York, where women grow. Southern man don't live around anyhow. Sweet home Alabama.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna do an impersonation for you of Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings. That's the way they stand. That's it. For those of you that don't know who Willie and Waylon are, Willie is the short guy. Cowboys ain't easy to love, and they're hard to love. Thank you. They'd rather give you a song than diamonds of gold. Well, don't start up my goals and old crazy price. Thank you, sir. Yeah, you're wrong, he's just different. If he don't die young, he'll probably just ride away. Now, folks, here's the hard part. Here's Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings at the same time. Not a chance. Okay, I'll try. And mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. Let them be doctors and lawyers inside. And mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cold. Oh, you'll never stand on his own ways alone, even with someone he
We're caught in the trap. I can't walk out. I love you, Peggy Sue. Well, but also right, Rachel. Well, Peggy, my Peggy Sue. I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. You make me cry. Well, I'll be sitting back and trying to make heaven with just a little of the glory of. You're caught in the trap. I can't walk that. I hope this suit don't tear up, baby. Well, I'm going, oh, baby, you're on, you're raggedy one. Oh yeah, all right. Oh yeah, all right. Woo-hoo. Oh yeah.
What a good crowd! We love Canyonville. Nice hat, by the way. I'm gonna steal that from you, use it in the show tomorrow night. You know, I was looking on the internet the other day and saw a statistic that you guys might be interested in. Did you know that the President of the United States makes $400,000 a year? And now listen here, I'm not gonna go get political on you, I'm just telling you the facts. You can make your own choices. A retired president makes $180,000 a year for life. The head of the Senate and the head of the Congress make $175,000 a year, and your average senator and congressman make $160,000 a year. Taxpayers' money. Now, I also read that your average soldier in Afghanistan and Iraq, $700 a week. Now, you know something, folks? I'm thinking if the government wants to start making cuts, maybe they should start at the top. Brothers and my sisters, I'll proudly take a stand with liberty and liberty. I'll always do what's right. I'm out here on the front line, sleep in peace tonight, American soldier. tell everyone I was born by God's good grace in an extraordinary place where the stars and stripes and the eagles fly. I pledge allegiance to that flag that bothers you to kiss my ass. If you got pride and proud you do, yeah, we could use some more like me and you. Where the stars and stripes and the eagles fly. This song is called Raise Up Old Glory. We hope you like it. It goes like this. We take the tiger and we take the bull, but abusing Old Glory we won't take anymore. Tattered and torn, rain soaked and warm. It ain't never seen battle, but it looks like it's been through. Raise up, oh glory, and oh, may she reign. Thank you, sir. Take pride in your country, all the way to your grave. Thank y'all. Send up America, I'm talking to the daughters and sons of the fathers who love for the red, white, and blue. It stands for our freedom. It stands for our pride.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the unbelievable Mr. Burt Lynch. And Burt Lynch, you have been doing great. And as that was finishing up there, we could see that when you were doing your one-man show, there you did another standing ovation. You know, you do all these characters and you bring them all to life and you pay tribute to them. And just, you do so many things, you know. For you, it seems like nothing is impossible.
Well, thank you very
Nothing's
much.
impossible. In fact, if you really think about it, the word impossible means possible, because impossible means I'm possible. I am possible.
There you
right?
go.
And nothing is impossible for you, and you're worth a standing ovation.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope that we have a great relationship here out. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed the unbelievable Mr. Burt Lynch. And for him, nothing's impossible.
Thank you, Johnny.
Okay, buddy.
I appreciate
Take
it.
care.